Good morning, everyone. We're recording. Ready to go. Day 5,732, I think, Ron?
Feb 8th.
What's that?
February 8th.
February 8th,
Right.
2022. We have 10:13 a.m. Wanted to just give you an update on the conversation where we ended yesterday. So the financials, the finance department is putting together all of that information in a format that is condensed, so you don't have to sift through many fiscal years worth and sift through expenses, obviously. So we'll get that in a condensed version for you. And the other item, you had asked for some examples on policies, and I will have to get those to you.
Yeah, no big deal.
As you can imagine, you were there.
Well,
I was at work till 8 o'clock last night, and back at 7:30 this morning, so I need a little bit more time, but I'll get you some examples.
We reviewed a couple last night, and it's
With regard, particularly with the drug-free workplace, that's a kind of lengthy policy, and it would be helpful for us if we could see a legislative format, the new policy versus what the old policy
Okay.
is. So if we can get that sent to us, it would be helpful
Okay.
to help us with our review.
so the one you sent us a draft. There's one that's on the shared drive right now. That draft is a complete redo of the one.
There's actually not much to change, but I could share a copy of the changes.
Oh, well, we were doing it last night. We were highlighting it. It seems substantial, but maybe we are using the wrong copies. That's what I'm worried about. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's a few different dates, and
Okay.
as he knows, sometimes the shared drive gives you stuff that isn't the current.
Okay.
stuff. So that would be greatly
Okay.
appreciated. And on your breakdown of the accounting, and this is just for me, what would be a reasonable time frame for you guys that we would be able to know that would be coming? I mean, I'm not going to hold you to it. I mean, we're talking like a few weeks.
Oh, this week.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Because we don't have another meeting, so whenever is fine.
Did you want to start off by going through the copy, or do you want to
go
pick
through
another
the-
starting point?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted
The
to
new copy
affirm the copy that we ended on yesterday, or if you had anything further going there.
Do you have anything new to bring to that at this point?
We do. I think my preference would be, can we go through and TA the ones so that we are on firm footing as to what we have finalized from yesterday? I mean,
And would that be what Debbie sent out last night?
yeah, and which we just got copies of here, yeah. So it looks like, from my notes, we should be good on 1 through 4, including the new scope of agreement. And then 6. Oh, these are front and back.
And you actually have 5 within 4, just because we haven't assigned a number
Right.
to a scope of agreement.
Yeah,
So 5 total.
okay. I want to make sure if we're TAing one side of these, that we're clear if the other side is not, contains a different article,
Okay.
what we're signing off on here.
Yeah, that would be the case with
You have 6 in
scope
here?
and dues checkoffs.
Yes.
That's
All right.
Page 7.
So 1 is good, right?
1 is good. 1 to 4, if I could just look at, we made some changes to 6.
2 is good.
Actually, for Article 3, would we want to include a firefighter paramedic trainee within those 642 classifications because we're moving in that direction?
No.
Or not until it is?
No, they're hired into one of those existing classifications.
Okay.
on,
Which is how they get their pension.
Right. Okay.
page 9. So Article 6, union business, we added, it's just grammatical, just have it read, upon D at the bottom, the one that we added, upon request of the fire chief or designee.
You went right here at the very bottom, the slide shall require approval, that's where you want it? From both the fire chief and the union president. Or do you want me to put that in?
It's
Oh, then no, that's all.
reasonable.
Take it off.
So it's the union.
Should that be a
agrees to
6?
execute content. Was there something else?
Should that be a 6 slot?
Excuse me?
Be a six vacation slot?
That, I'm just trying to get there right now for the union.
Yeah.
Yeah, so technically,
Am I on the wrong page?
based on the long-term
Oh, am I on the wrong page?
history and expectations that we were going through, it technically should be. I have not.
SD?
Do we want to change it to additional vacations?
Okay, for her.
That's honestly, I mean, it would be consistent with the existing language, but I've never discussed that with anybody. I don't know where any of these guys are with that. I mean, it's to solidify kind of what we do on a regular basis. So. I mean, we can.
So currently, there's 5 slots. You're talking about the,
Yeah.
in D, it talks about a union member be granted a 5th vacation slot. That should now say 6th.
Where are we?
It's-
I don't know.
yeah,
On,
it's
on Article
correct
6,
and follows
so
the-
hang on just a minute, John.
assumption.
Okay.
Hang on a minute, John.
D.
Article 6, union business, D.
So we granted
Which
5th, you want it to say 6th, D?
Section
That's what I
2,
put
D.
originally on.
Or do we just want to do additional? So it continues to grow with
Well,
department.
so, so in D, and then the exception down below would also need to say the 6th slot. Because in the leave article, we had changed that, made that one change from 4 to 5 to represent existing practice.
So I'm not ready to sign off on 6 then.
Okay. So the next one I have would
Well,
be,
and I'm sorry, Jim, 5 is okay? Nepotism?
no,
Okay.
no, we're reviewing that policy. I think there's some, in looking at the policy, there's some things that don't, did we finish, or did we look at that and it was okay, nepotism?
Yeah, we said we're.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, yes.
The issue was we had the issue.
Let me look at something.
Oh, that
Because we
might,
never got an answer whether it was gonna affect current.
yeah, that was my only thing, and I don't think it was, but it won't affect anything current.
That was a question we asked the city, whether it was, they knew of any kind of.
But other than that, if there was something that said, or if
The
we,
current employees
Yeah.
that were gonna be,
that was the only real issue.
because initially it was just brothers, stepbrothers, something that just changed. And to be honest with you, I don't have an answer to why that was ever. Because I think on our copy it says something state statute.
On our copy, yeah, on our copy, the in-law, they both do. On our copy, the old one, it left out in-laws, mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law.
You remember?
You guys added it, which is supposed to
Yeah,
be.
which we added.
It's state statute,
That's
but
statute, yeah.
some reason it just wasn't in the current copy. Does that make sense?
So
Yeah.
what- What we'll do is we'll do a quick review of that before lunch and then let you know, because honestly, I think the last meeting we had, I asked you guys if you knew of any impact that would have on current employees, and we really weren't sure. I didn't look into it, so if I can just review it at lunch.
Well, I think the answer is no, and that actually would enhance, because as Mike just said, you left two things out. Two things were left out that are put in, mother-in-law and
Yeah, it
whatever else.
was like four, I think it was four, all the in-laws.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember.
yeah.
Did you guys, did anybody actually?
We'll glance at it, I guess, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that's good. I have to guess.
We can take another look at the
Yeah.
wording.
Yeah.
And so, and what we're signing off
So-
there then is just actually the policy. We're moving the policy into the agreement, yeah?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So the intent is that if there is that relationship, that it's not standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We recognize that there are just, stuff happens, right, but it's not a standard practice that we.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not bumping heads with you, because the last time we did this, I think our intent was to move towards the statute of limitations.
And
And
that's what it is.
I really don't know how it got, I have to go back in my notes to figure out why those were left out, and that's what I
Well,
need to think
it
about.
looks like a problem because where our current says in-laws, like it says mother, and it like cuts out, I think, like half of mother, so it's like M-O-T-H, and then it skips and picks back that. It looks like
That just could be a
Looks like it's- yeah.
Scrivener error.
So is it, exactly.
We'll just look at it real
It's
quick.
just
at
a
once.
big statute. I found my error on 6, by the way, it's on 6. I was telling you about earlier with the wording, or grammar, whatever.
Hey, why don't you grab it right now, and me and you go out and take a look at it, and then come back in while they're doing the other stuff.
All right, 11 was the next one. I think we're good with that. And 12, contracting out.
Yeah.
Good?
Mm-hmm. Probationary periods is good. What we need to say,
That's 14.
yes.
Hold on a second on that one. Okay. Check my notes on that.
Didn't we have agreement on hours?
Yes.
15.
It's not in here, is it?
15 is.
It's below 14.
Oh, yeah, it's actually on the same page as, like it was just an error. It's
Oh,
on the
oh.
same page as 14. It starts,
Oh, wait a minute then.
there you go.
I see, okay.
I'm going to kick it down.
So, all right, so this is not Article 14, this is Article 15. And I think the next one I've got that we had agreement on was 27.
Yes.
And facilities maintenance, 29.
Yes.
So this is Article 27. Eight is now. Dadgummit. It's 29, right?
Facility.
And then seniority layoff and recall and severability, 37 and 38.
I just need a second on 37. There's a lot of cleanup and stuff. So in this copy, it goes AD, under layoff, it goes ADC, and then it starts over at C. Should be D. I was getting confused.
Oh, okay. I'll fix that. When I just hit accept, track change. And that's Mr. I didn't catch it.
Spacing.
Is that what you're talking about, Stacy, the ABC, and then it goes C, D, E?
Yeah, it starts over
Yeah,
at C.
I'm fixing it. I'm gonna have to change it when I get back to work. It's gonna fix the thing.
Okay, we'll go with that one.
Here are, here are the signed articles. I don't know.
And Jim, you're good with that? Or you just corrected?
Yeah, I just hand did it on my copy.
Are you keeping it? I'm doing that.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, the new scope of agreement, 11, 12, 14, 15, 27, 29, 37, and 38.
We also had 41, which is
What's 41?
compression.
No. Yeah, let's see if we end up having to use that, put something else in there. I got something on the back of it. Yeah. Okay.
And 50, complete agreement.
Did we talk about 50 yet?
Was that
That was on, was that on our status, is that status quo?
Mike, would you want?
We had said, I thought we...
We need a minute to talk about 37.
Yeah, Jim, you had 50 as status quo.
Okay.
What's that?
You said you needed a second to think about 37.
Oh, no, I was just reviewing the changes.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'm
it's
good.
good? All right.
And yes, Stacy, we're good on 50. You sign it.
I think for at least for my purposes anyway, in the future, if we could just do printing, one-side printing.
Yes, sir. I have no problem doing
Yeah,
that.
okay. I know it's a pain in the butt and it
No,
wastes paper.
I'm
but-
fine with that.
All right, and there's 50. I've signed off on 50 as well.
So let's just go back for my edification. You said 1 through 4, and for some reason I wrote down 1 through 5. So 1 is the preamble, 2, documentation, 3, recognition.
Then scope of agreement, wherever we, whatever number we put on that.
Okay,
Dues check off is 4. So those, all of those.
okay.
And then the next one we have agreement on after that is 11.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, so we're
Yeah,
waiting
we're
for
gonna-
nepotism
Right, we're
for...
looking to look
Yeah.
at
We're gonna look at it at lunch.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, then I'm good.
11,
Did you
12,
continue for me, since I was out?
11, 12,
12?
yeah, 14, 15, 27, 29, 37, 38, and 50.
Thank you.
could either, you guys sign another copy, or we can just sign the same copy and maybe get copies of it made here someplace. Maybe, that might be easier.
I'll go around and get copies and send y'all, if y'all sign it.
And do you want color copies?
I don't care, as long as it's got the initials on it, and when we know that we've signed off on it, I think that's fine.
I get that for you. Josh. Thank you. I said, our schedule's over. I said, I went in. I apologize, I can't do any time changes. I know. I apologize, I really mean it. I really do. I really do. Maybe because I got very few times. Yeah.
I know they closed up again.
Oh, yeah, that's my face. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at it, so wait.
You're white.
They want
I
that.
think they're like fluffy.
Josh.
copied as
Thanks,
is.
sir. You want that one-sided?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Is that gonna mess up Article 15?
What do you mean? Nah, I'll figure it out. I'll get it in the notebook.
How many copies am I making?
2 or
Two.
1.
Huh?
Just
Two?
one, I think, should be sufficient, because we'll have the original and
Commissioner King is here, isn't he?
I think so.
The voice sounds to
It sounded familiar. With a hat? I'm going to stop the recording.
Sure.
Everybody's leaving.
Apparently, we're taking a break.
I get, yeah.
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 We're taking a
2, 3, and 4. Don't need that.
Yeah, he probably
I
doesn't.
slammed the table.
That's all right. 15. Perfect.
Y'all have any counter proposals from previous days? No. No? Okay. So at this time, what we have Article 18, incentive pay, Article 34, pension plan, Article 17, wages, okay? 44 will come to you this afternoon,
Okay.
clerical error.
Okay.
So clean that up,
Okay.
and you'll have it at the end of the day. That'll give you a complete agreement.
Okay.
You'll have a proposal for all articles at that point in time.
Okay.
Cool. Everybody over there gets a paper clip, so it's a copy.
Thanks, Jen. Maybe walk down to me.
Thank you, sir.
All the way? I don't know.
Is this from the
Makes sense.
original CBA that was sent over?
Do you have a digital for?
Thank you.
No, it didn't include this.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't have an email, but thanks.
No, no.
Oh.
Right?
No.
You have the thumb drive?
Oh, did you?
Yes,
You
yes,
have this,
yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
I
I was trying to be something.
What else you got, Fire Flow? Anything?
Yeah, that other pile right there
Okay, no
should
problem.
be pension. Is that pension?
Right.
Yeah, same thing. Same routine.
Okay.
Thumb drive.
Ah, thank you.
I'll put it up there. Could you?
Get my handy dandy adapter because
Which one you doing first?
Apple Life.
We'll do 17. We'll go through wages first. Tell me, wait till you guys are ready.
I just have to move this over to her thumb drive, and I gotta use a special adapter.
Do you want to wait until she has it before we talk about it, or you want to talk about it now?
Do you want to just email it to me, or you? Oh, you're set up. You're good.
I learned. I don't have a USB. What can I do? He
Don't say anything until we're.
What do we do?
Yeah.
Get the recorder on.
Yes, ma'am, it's on.
Thank you.
Okay, Stacy.
This no name. Just the name.
Start now.
I think I'm doing it.
You're all
Thank you,
fine.
sir.
Yes, sir. Sorry. No. I'm just always saying crazy stuff.
No, that was, Kate.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
18, 17, 34.
Okay, so 17, wages, our proposal is for a 4-year agreement, 22 through 26. And our wage proposal is a 4% per year, effective with the first full pay period after October each year, beginning in 2022, 23, 24, and 25. Section 2, we've cleaned up the language here because last time there were 2 examples in here, or 2 discussions of wages, because at the time there was some back-owed wages and retroactive wages, and then there was a discussion about wages going forward. So we've cleaned that up to just have the example of how to recognize how base pay is calculated. In 2, And then finally, that starting firefighter base pay will be $15 an hour, which equates to $43,680 annual wage. So that's our proposal on, oh, sorry. Section 6 is keeping the list of departments that we're using for future comparables that we'll agree to use in future contracts. And then recognizing in 1 under 6 that those comparable cities would remain the same. And that if the city conducts any pay studies during the term of the CBA, that the fire department bargaining unit would be included. That is our proposal on 17.
I have a real quick cleanup thing. Jim. So on your section 2, under October 1st, about the pay increases in the formula, is multiplied the right word there? Wouldn't that be the percentage increase or increase?
So when you punch it in the calculator, I agree, it would be 0.04. Right?
I'm not talking, well, yes, it would be, but I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
about the word. You guys got the word multiplied.
Yeah, it's base pay plus longevity multiplied by 4% or 0.04.
Okay, point of,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Yes, is that, yes, what you're saying. It's not 4%.
Right, so it'd be representative, when we punch it in the calculator, it's 0.04, but I'm with you.
Change it to 1%. Don't put a 0.04, 0.4. Just put 4%.
What are you talking about?
Depends on what calculator you're using.
Under A, it's just a cleanup thing.
There you go.
And then my other
It
question
does
would
say
be
4%
for,
right now. It does say 4%.
on your, where was it? On your starting base pay, you're saying that's gonna stay $15 an hour for the whole term of the contract?
Yeah, that's the proposal.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm just asking, that's what y'all was asking. Okay.
well, I haven't.
Because it
heard
was
anything
just
from-
increased.
I haven't heard anything from the city to increase it again, so.
No, I'm just asking. Okay.
All right, any questions on 17? Oh, hang on just a minute. Give me just a second. Okay. So we've calculated the estimated cost associated with that proposal at 4% a year. So by our calculation, the first year cost would be $174,428. The second year cost over the prior year would be $181,405. The third year cost over the second year cost is $188,662. And the fourth year cost over the third year cost is $196,208. Total approximate cost is $740,705 by our calculation.
And what's included in that?
Just base.
in the formula?
You have base and longevity in your,
Oh, yeah, base and longevity, but.
Yes,
yeah.
that was calculated,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we were just saying,
Base
It's-
is,
we're
it's
taking
unloaded.
that
base pay
inclusively.
is now including longevity. So for finance, that base plus longevity now is base pay.
Jim, 740, how much?
That was-
740, 705.
And it should be from section 5. See that now?
The footer.
5.
Huh?
All right, Article 18, incentive pay. Beginning with Section 1 is a complete strike through. All of that now has been moved down to what you'll see in category, or in Section 2. And the incentives are based on the current 21 cents per hour. Maintaining the maximum of 4 duties per employee, not counting the special ops incentive. And on page 2 is the list of incentives available. Special ops team member, fire officer 1, or inspector certification. EMTs that have taken and passed the Deltona IV course after ratification of the contract.
Which one of these are new? Just the one that says new?
So, new ad for number 11,
Number
peer
11.
support technician.
That's
However,
it.
working out of rank was in one of the 2 lists. So now it's solidified, there's one list, so working out of rank. And prior discussion on moving working out of rank to the incentive article, where before, I think it was in wages or something.
Stuff's all over.
Huh?
Stuff is all over.
Kinda.
It's something we were gonna move from another article. Okay.
Honor Guard, certified car seat technicians, certified MSA technicians, the breathing apparatus service technicians, fire instructor, bike team members, members who are bilingual, peer fitness advisors or trainers. The
We
new,
just talked about in the,
yeah.
that you don't have.
Well, we don't
No,
have,
we
a-
do-
we do have, we don't have
some.
enough.
And the discussion was, not to sidebar this completely, but to maintain peer fitness trainers without a full and complete adoption of the peer fitness trainer program.
Okay.
Yeah, this is.
We still think they have a role. It would be better if we had more. We don't have more.
Gotcha.
Right? But we don't want them taken out of the equation. We think they play a role when you look at that overall program. Peer support technicians, which is new, and working out of rank. Those employees that get qualified to work out of rank, 21 cents an hour.
What's a peer support technician and what kind of certifications?
So it's a program started up jointly, or just fire department based. Chief Swisher could probably speak to it better than I can, but as somebody who went to the UCF React training, it's geared towards behavioral health.
So
It's the crisis, I think it sounds like,
crisis management,
yeah, the post-incident.
debriefing.
I mean, like with an EMT patch, we know exactly where you got your training.
So we're UCF React trained certified peer support technicians.
Can-
Yeah.
We could add that language.
I mean,
Is there any
that's
other
right.
place to get that certification
Yeah,
other than
there's a whole bunch
UCF?
of-
That, I mean, it's specific to the
That's-
University of Central
That was
Florida.
pushed
IFF,
through these
yeah.
guys, so.
Okay.
There's,
Yeah,
there's
Well,
that'd be
several.
cool.
Maybe we want
Health
to
and
say,
safety.
list the places that you can get, as long as you've had the training with one of those.
You guys know it.
Do you have one that you prefer? Or just,
I just know on the law enforcement side, if we're talking the same thing, it's like CISM team, you know, traumatic incident, you guys go to where, you know, a baby's dead.
Right.
You know, in a traumatic incident, this support group
Debriefings.
would sit down, debrief, go through how you feeling,
So,
you know,
yeah,
type thing.
It's plus
The
in
states
addition-
is a little more, yeah, the states.
Yeah. So in addition, you go ahead, G.
No, I was going to say that they've encompassed some of that, but they've also encompassed other things into a wellness kind of package.
Yeah.
And
So
each
you
of the
have
peer
more
supporters
of a,
are there for different reasons at different times, and there's
Like
hierarchies.
So you're always going to have your critical incident stress debriefing meeting.
Right.
But then in addition, that's where we add the peer support through the college. They go to the class and they kind of fully understand. They're actually vetted through the people that are in it, because some people don't actually fit the mold that they want, but they're trained yellow, green, red. They're trained the whole personal intervention. So basically then we can assign that individual if we see the signs.
Right,
Hopefully
behavior,
we
right,
do.
right, yeah.
They get a person
Yep.
that they have a personal contact with.
Preventing
That's what-
suicide. Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hey, coming from that. That should be 10 cents, right? Times 10 would be 40 cents.
Originally it was, but, sorry.
Which should it be? Is
That
it supposed to be, it's supposed to be here?
Yes,
Okay,
that's what that formula was calculated with.
I just,
okay.
Oversight.
all right, Okay, so, the-
it says oversight.
Whatever.
all right, section 2, the special event pay was previously calculated on what the average of the bargaining unit member overtime hourly rate was for collectively.
No.
Collectively. And so this $30.67, or 67.5 cents, reflects what that is today. So we're just bringing that forward, updating that calculation in section 2, that special event pay for everyone will be $30.67.5 cents an hour for the term of the agreement. In section 3F, we are proposing a new pay supplement. And in the second bullet, it's a paramedic longevity supplement aimed at attracting and retaining people in the paramedic role by bumping their pay a little bit the longer they continue to service the city as a Volusia County cleared paramedic. And beginning October 1, 2022, it says 10 cents. That's intended to be 5 cents. For every year of service as a paramedic calculated by the starting period of the calendar year they became a cleared Volusia County paramedic for the city of Deltona. And that would be added to their base hourly rate annually. And there's an example down below of how that would be calculated. So somebody with 4 years of service as a cleared Volusia County paramedic would have their base increased by 20 cents an hour. And the next year would go up by an additional nickel. And then section 4 just reflects the paramedic or the rescue seat pay that we had agreed to as a part of the MOU. That's just been moved into this incentive article. Any questions about any of that? We think the paramedic longevity is important because probably the most highly competitive pool of employees being sought in the state right now are paramedics. So finding a reason when they're trying to decide where to start their career, I think the more attractive we can make it and the more we can show them that the longer they're here, the more their paramedic services are valued. Will help us not only recruit them, but I think will help keep folks in that role while they're here.
Can we hold the pension plan till after lunch?
There you have it.
Any questions about 18? Okay, 34, pension. In 34, we've stricken the language that's reflected actions taken with regard to the pension that have already been done, so it no longer needs to remain in the agreement. And there are 3 elements to our pension proposal. The first is to reduce the contribution. I believe the current pension contribution is 11%. When this last contract was ratified, it was 8. During the term of the agreement, there was an agreement to raise the contribution to 11. Our proposal would lower that to a 9% contribution rate moving forward. Additionally, it's our desire to have $100,000 a year of the transport receivables applied directly to the pension fund unfunded liability. I think that benefits the city and benefits the members of this plan by keeping the pension plan as healthy as possible. And so this proposal would be over and above any other normal contributions that would be required. As transport monies come in, we would propose that 100,000 of those, and quite frankly, as early as possible in the year, be applied to the plan's unfunded liability so that it has the biggest impact over time annually to help pay down that unfunded liability. The plan is healthy currently, but the plan is carrying, as most of these plans do, carrying a fair, I can't remember what the figure was of unfunded liability. I don't want to quote it, but it's got some unfunded liability to it, and we recognize the importance of paying that down and paying attention to it. Effective upon ratification of the agreement, the third item is to increase the retirement health care subsidy. It's currently $10 per year of service. Our proposal increases it to $20 per year of service. We also think that the contribution rate, lowering the contribution rate to 9, is important because many of the departments that Deltona is competing with have recently become FRS departments, where the contribution rate that a new employee is looking at, or a new paramedic is looking at, is 3%. And so we understand that 175 plans give greater flexibility and generally better benefits than are enjoyed in FRS, but sometimes, we're already asking them to pay 3 times what their counterparts in FRS departments are paying for their pension benefits at 9%. So at 11, I think it's a little bit of sticker shock. We understand the COLA went up, and the last increase to the contribution plan was tied to that. However, moving forward, we think to be competitive, we've got to reduce it somewhat. And with the addition of applying $100,000 a year of the transport receivables to the unfunded liability, we think the overall required contribution during the term of this collective bargaining agreement will be reduced for the city. Any questions?
Can you say that last thing again?
So over the period of, if over the course of this 4-year agreement, $400,000 is applied, particularly if it's applied early each year, to the plan's unfunded liability, we think that's going to have the impact, or will have the impact, of lowering the overall required costs, both normal and unfunded liability costs that are required for the city, of which employees would be picking up 9%, we'd be applying the supplemental premium tax monies, and then the remainder that the city is responsible for would be reduced by the application of the $100,000 per year to the unfunded liability. Because in these plans, the normal cost is not what's driving the costs up. It's always the unfunded liability.
So did you do calculations on that?
No, that'll have to be done by the pension plan, pension plan actuary.
Foster and Foster's that actuarial. So
already-
And we've
the
requested
legislation.
that. We've requested the pension board request that of the
It has to
actuary.
be paid for, so I have to provide funding, and I'll be there Monday night.
So we're working to get that done, but the only person that can tell us or anticipate for us what that looks like based on the assumptions that are currently made in the plan is the actuary. So we've gone that route to try to know exactly what the impact is, but I think it stands to reason that if we are aggressively paying down the unfunded liability over and above, because the normal contribution is, a portion of that goes to the unfunded liability anyway. So what we're doing is getting more aggressive on the unfunded liability, which has the biggest impact on rising costs of pension contributions. The lower we can get those unfunded liability numbers, the better.
But you guys have a direct line to the pension board, so that would be a very easy number for you to get.
I don't know how long it will take Foster and Foster to put those numbers together.
No, you were making a statement, so I was curious if you had the math done already.
No.
No,
it's
so
working.
the reason why that is a fact-based statement is because the actuarial is required by state statute with the new legislation to take into account the unfunded liability and to begin to pay it off at a certain rate moving forward.
So any additional.
So it will have an impact on the city's contribution rate because
I'm
this,
aware. Thank you.
so why'd you ask?
I asked if you had math.
No,
to
we
support
have
that
not,
statement.
we have not done it yet.
Okay.
We have requested it.
Yeah, we have to pay for it.
And then the educational assistance, we've got to fix some typos and bring that to you later. And then I think once we give you that, we will have provided a proposal on every article.
Nepotism.
Well,
You're going over.
yeah, we're going to look at nepotism, yeah.
Okay, can we take a break? All set?
Yeah.
So obviously, these articles will take some calculating and reviewing, and we will come back at a later time. We do have a few, we'd like to just move through a few articles that we have prepared for today, and we'll take a short day today.
Okay.
I give you all copies, right? I got one here. Maybe you guys have.
Thank you.
Pass them along, John.
I didn't hear anybody.
Pass them along.
No, obviously, we can take it.
Should I choose Jim?
Here's what I'm looking for. Can you explain the changes in paragraph 1 in section 1?
I think it's just cleanup.
Well, it's a little more than cleanup. It seems to be, so this is tied to some of what we're discussing and have proposed in Article 9. So I think that these two are probably going to have to go hand in hand. Because the issues that we raised and discussed under Article 9 regarding to make sure that we're not, by any language we're agreeing to in this agreement, waiving our right or granting the city the exclusive right to unilaterally create or alter policies, procedures, rules, and regulations that address negotiable subjects. And it sounds in Section 1 like that's exactly what that says now. It's agreed the city has the exclusive right and authority over policies and administration of the department, which it exercises under the provisions of law, whatever that means, and in fulfilling its responsibilities under the agreement, including all statutory and inherent management rights, managerial rights, powers, and functions. So I will tell you that I've seen weaker language than that argued as the union having waived any right to bargain over midterm changes to wages, hours, terms, and conditions of employment that come about through the adoption of new policies or the amendment of other policies. So the language that we've proposed in 9, to make sure that it's clear that none of that language, either in 9 or in 7, is read that way, would be vital to make sure that whatever this says or is intended to say is not to be read as the union having waived its right to bargain either decisions over mandatory subjects or impacts related to permissive subjects, and to make clear that we've agreed on a process by which either new policies, procedures, rules, and regulations or amendments to those are provided to the union for review some period of time prior to their proposed implementation, so that the union has a time to exercise their right to demand bargaining.
Which
and it says
we've already talked about.
Yeah,
So it's a mandatory bargaining. Obviously, the city is going to recognize that.
It
and
doesn't-
address it as such.
That's not what that section 1 says
The city
now.
does have managerial rights over every department in the city, including the fire department.
Right. So section 1 says exactly opposite of that. And even G, to maintain efficiency, whatever that means, and to make, alter, and enforce reasonable policies and regulations to be observed by members, provided such rule and regulation not contrary to the terms and conditions set forth in this agreement.
Okay.
So unless we go through all the policies and address every single subject that's currently in policy and move it into the agreement, there are negotiable subjects, as we've previously discussed, that are not contained in the four corners of the collective bargaining agreement. And we do that so that the collective bargaining agreement doesn't look like the Encyclopedia Britannica. We try to keep it down with an understanding that if issues come up by way of rules, regulations, policies, and procedures, that the union is notified and provided an opportunity and a window with which to demand bargaining over those changes or new policies, if they are found to either directly address or have impacts to mandatory subject bargaining. So I think our proposal on management rights was status quo, coupled with kind of addressing our concerns in Article 9 as it relates to policies and procedures. I don't really care whether that language is moved into 7 or kept in 9, but an acknowledgement that that nothing contained in this is to be interpreted as the union having waived its right to bargain, to notice and or to bargain either of those things. And for instance, can you give me a list of inherent managerial rights, powers, and functions that are intended to be referenced in the new language in Section 1?
I can't. Would you like to provide some different language if you don't like other?
I think the fact, because I will tell you that my normal process would have been to take, I believe it's 447, 403 is statutory management rights. That's what I normally propose. And we had a discussion on our side about doing that, and quite frankly, after reading through these management rights, I said we can, among the things that we can agree to, we've lived under these management rights as they are for however long, we can agree to keep them to reduce the number of items through which we're bargaining. So we didn't come in trying to carve these back to statutory rights only. But the city, it appears, is seeking to expand on the rights that the status quo rights. Maintain efficiency. This comes up all the time. I think it might be in the existing language now, but I don't know how in a fire department setting, I don't know how efficiency is measured. Is it by the gallons of water used on an average residential structure fire? I don't know what that means in our setting. We're not making widgets. We're not running an assembly line. And again, this is restating what my concern in 1, because it says, and to make, alter, and enforce reasonable policies and regulations to be observed by members. I can tell you that the Public Employee Relations Commission would have no heartburn about telling a union that it has clearly and unequivocally waived its right to bargain anything that changes during the term of the agreement if we agreed to that language. If we demanded bargaining and the city refused and we filed an unfair labor practice, I don't think I don't have any doubt that the Public Employee Relations Commission would tell us to take a hike. And again, in Section 2, you restated the city shall not be required to bargain over matters of inherent managerial policy. I don't know what that is. What are all of the matters that are inherent managerial policy? I have no idea. I can tell you that PERC would probably read them very broadly, which shall include such areas of discretion or policy as the functions of the city, standards of service, the functions of the city, standards of service, its overall budget, organizational structure, and examination techniques. Certainly, we do not have a right to bargain over the budget. I can't say, depending on what changes are being made to the organizational structure, that there would not be bargainable impacts associated with that. Same with examination techniques. Our proposal, which we felt was meeting the city halfway, was status quo. Status quo, if you will read, because what's contained in statute for management rights is a single paragraph. And we were accepting the existing 3-page management rights, or 2-page management rights. So, I can tell you that we're opposed to this. I will also tell you that through the impasse process, this language constitutes a waiver and therefore cannot be imposed on us. And I think if I'm if you're asking me to bring you back a counter proposal to this, at this point, my counter proposal will be word for word statute, which is far more limiting than what we currently have now. But we didn't take that approach originally. And I would ask the city to go back and say, is there something that has not worked within the statutory, with the status quo expanded management rights that have been in the agreement for however long?
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Is there any specific line items or things that you could point out that you're trying to resolve with this new language?
I don't.
Okay.
So there's no
I don't.
specific nothing.
And I don't want to bring you back a proposal that is a full strike through of existing and just recites the paragraph out of the statute. I think that's moving this in the wrong direction.
Okay.
I will, but I don't, I think for now, we would reject this. There's no way we're going to TA this because we would be giving up, we would be agreeing to very broad waivers of bargaining rights through the term of the agreement. And I think our position right now would be just to maintain status quo.
Take that under advisement.
And the reason I'm asking for specifics is because if we were to counter, then we could work jointly on resolving issues that exist.
Hey, Tim, you gotta get over and take a minute.
No, go ahead.
Sure.
And if anybody else comes up with some issues that these rights or new language would resolve, feel free to speak up. We'd love to hear them.
I gotta cut this off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
My wife's phone, but grab and speed. Yes, sir. Oh. Yeah. Good. Is this it right here?
All right, so we're
Yeah.
on Article 23.
You got your copy? Like,
Just put this back in here. I took a book.
oh, right here. Whatever.
So section 1 is to
This man,
clarify
right?
physical exams. This first part is to clarify that it's a two-part physical exam. Section B actually indicates that some of these things
I have a
are
copy?
every 2 years.
Good, Jim. Here, that was all one pile. That was all one pile.
Thank you. Here.
Okay. All right, now I see. Okay.
So B indicates that the items listed below are every 2 years when they're actually being done annually. Section C is stricken because it's actually included in the physical.
Where's the, I don't see the stress test in the, yeah, I don't see the stress test in the list of,
Well, there was an additional cost to that at one point. That's what they were.
Yeah, the stress test currently, and we could probably add it in there if we need to, but the stress test currently is part of the life scan package.
well, so you guys have signed with LifeScan? Can we get a copy of that contract? Because it lists the items, and we can just put the items in here right out of that LifeScan contract to make sure we're not
These are
missing.
pretty much the items other than this, but yeah.
Well, they do ultrasound, don't they do ultrasound testing? with it? Yeah, so I think they give a pretty thorough list if I've seen those contracts before.
The second page is trying to clarify the circumstances where if a person has a physical and they are not cleared for duty, or if they have some restrictions, and how we work the person through the process of being fit for duty. Letter F was actually just moved from section 4. Section 2 is related to workers' comp, so to move that to the workers' comp section. Section 5 and 6 seem more like personnel items than physical examiners. And I'm not even sure. Bush, we had some talks about
I'm reading that. I don't know what the shot records. Yeah, whenever employees been asked to maintain their shot records, they don't want to do it. So we really don't have, other than light scan, which records if they give shots, which they don't very often. We don't have a shot record, so it's really obvious language. We don't do shot records, and it's really members. We can't force them to give up a shot record.
Do the employees get titer tested on an annual basis?
Yeah, the light scan.
Well, your titer would be records, for shots.
Yeah, they have those records. Yes, absolutely.
Well, are those the shots we're interested in? Is your standard measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, hepatitis B, maybe hepatitis A and C?
Yeah, I just don't.
What section you on to?
Section 5. We just don't, other than life scan, whatever they report, we don't save any shot records anywhere. So it's really something that in the contract we're not doing. So it's really obsolete language.
Just for me, nobody's ever asked me to keep a shot record, and I said I don't want it. I've never heard of it, but yeah. I think LifeScan may keep it, right?
I don't know.
I said other than life scan, there is no shot records that the city keeps. Yeah, I don't care.
Oh,
But it's not what this actually says. This says all shots, like, I don't know if you got,
yeah.
you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
life scan already does it for you.
I know what we were talking about. We're talking about like if you were, so like with military issue, you get deployed, they give you so many shots, they keep a record of what they gave you so you don't get them multiple times. That would be like the Hep series with the titer. Of course, if the city requires a Hep series with a titer and they give it to you, they should probably remember that at some point. But I mean, I don't care how they remember it, so it's up to you guys. I mean, I think don't we have a process about that?
And functionally, doesn't LifeScan do
The fire department.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
doesn't LifeScan do 2 appointment? You go the first time and get all of your blood work, the EKG, the ultrasound, and then when everything's done, then you see the
Yeah.
physician or.
And they tell you if you need whatever.
Okay, so some
But
of
if
this.
somebody came to the city and said, I'd like your shot record, we don't maintain.
Yeah, I'm talking about something totally
So
different.
Oh, sorry.
What about
This stuff that's in A and B, a lot of this is in B is actually done up front in the basic exam
Correct.
before you see, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's all done at once.
Yeah.
Except for the blood work.
So this
But it's all part of a package.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that you show up, they draw your blood,
Absolutely.
They do your ultrasound, they do your fat percentage, they do your PPD, they do your pulmonary function test, your 12 lead, all of that stuff, and then you go away. And when all those results are ready, then they schedule you for appointment 2 where you come in and see the physician or the PA, yeah?
Well, a little bit, but, so they do your blood work and your analysis, if you're special ops, they do your heavy metals, initially. Then you come in and we have them set up at the station. You go through all 3 rotations, you do your ultrasound, you do your physical, you do your physical fitness, you do your stress test, chest x-rays if needed. And then after that's all said, then you wait around till the whole group is done. And then she or he has all the records, the physician's assistant, and they go over it with you right then. If there's something above and beyond that, then the company calls the city's privacy officer and informs them that they need to have a meeting or they provide the documentation. The employee is always called first. So in other words, the city can't call LifeScan and go, I want John Fleming's shot records. They can't do that. It has to be John Fleming who calls.
So let me ask you a question. So obviously, I agree with you. We've done this before. So for the city, new world, new things happening. I come to the city right now, and this is not for Bush because it's not the fire department, because we've changed that privacy officer thing that we used to have in the fire department, and we used to keep all our records actually. If I come to you right now and I say, hey, can you give me a list of all the people that have COVID vaccinations and the list of people that have Omicron vaccination, where would you get that from?
I actually wouldn't release it because it's HIPAA.
Okay. I got that, but I'm saying if you keep a list because you provide
putting that as an example?
You provide a benefit, right? Right now, if I have my shots, you
I go to
provide me a
HR.
benefit of a day off, you give me a debit card.
I'm going to HR.
So without, okay, right. So wouldn't it be pertinent if we're saying that we are confused about a list that we try to incorporate that new process, and I'm not trying to trick you in any way on this, into the contract so that we start maintaining a list just in case we have Omicron 1.957 that everybody is mandated to get a vaccination on. Where would we keep that list under HIPAA or under whatever, so that we could maybe put that in here that if somebody does get a Hep C or an additional shot.
That would be a personnel file, like, well, I'd have actually.
That's what I'm
The
saying.
section about 5 with the shots,
Uh-huh.
when we talk, I don't think anybody does that, but if we're moving it, I would move it to the personnel files that is handled by HR.
Right, and I understand what he's saying because the fire department doesn't do it anymore. We've actually don't even have privacy officer doesn't have that. So personally, for me, we've crossed that line between the fire department and city things 3 times now with policies. If you guys don't want to put it in the contract, I don't have a heartache of it, but at some point there needs to be a reevaluation of where we're going to keep shots records, because I'm sure more shots are coming. And I don't know how you guys do it now. I've never asked.
Well, from my understanding though, and correct me if I'm wrong, this would be probably a lawyer question. I don't think that we can force employees, whether it's in a contract or not, to give up that information. The only reason why HR has a list, from my knowledge, is because they offered the
A benefit, and to get the benefit, you had to show proof.
turn in your inoculation card to get it.
What if
It
they make
wasn't-
them mandatory?
I don't know if you can. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can. Which is one of the
The
concerns about Section 5.
You know, I'm good with taking it out. I just want to know.
the courts are fighting about that right now.
Yeah.
What do we
Well,
do?
and
That issue's being,
yeah, take that out. There's other
Extensive.
shots too. I mean, so, but that's the whole gist.
I'm 100% with you taking.
And then six, also the fire department privacy officer, just after this contract went into status, HR pretty much took all those. Now, in order, and I'll give you an example, any kind of medication, I don't even know what you take. Pat knows that. And then she just tells me whether or not it's okay for the fire department
That's my only part in that process. I don't know what you take, I don't know what you do. And if you guys remember, a long time ago, we put this into the thing because we were gonna do it for special ops. And that also failed because people didn't want to have their records on the squad or whatever it was at the time. There were people who had issues with that, who had the key, who had the blah, blah, blah. So,
I think we had everybody's information, which is how to secure it.
right, it was.
A couple-
Nobody come to an agreement. And so we just never did it, so it's kind of obsolete language. Like I told Stacy already, I would love to have everybody's 12 lead and all that accessible, because if I transport you to the hospital, I'd love to hand a record over and say, I don't want to jinx anybody here,
Well,
firefighter X.
I think most employers treat employee medical records like kryptonite
Yes.
because they're so afraid that
Which is why we
somebody's
moved it to
going.
the contract, so it would be fire department control, but it just hasn't really.
There's
come to
great
fruition.
concern about them and being inadvertently.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
All right, a couple of questions or points. On B, we talk about the certified physician's assistant. I think elsewhere we had mentioned nurse practitioner, so we probably need to make that consistent, that it's any of the three, because I think LifeScan sends either nurse practitioners or PAs.
They're nurse practitioners, the majority of the time. I don't know why we didn't put it in there, to be honest.
And in F, the next page, it says, on personal request to meet the physician, nurse practitioner, physician assistant to discuss
Yeah,
test
we
results.
plan, like I said, we meet them at the final day.
All right, and then,
Can we just go back to A and B, because based on what you were saying, Push, potentially we might have to move some of these things around, because like you said, heavy metal assessment, that's listed in Part B, but you said it was Part A.
It is. They usually do the heavy metal up front with blood work.
So we may just need to look at
Right.
how these things are listed in the order that they
yeah,
are.
and I had a misunderstanding, because I thought everything other than the actual visit with, I thought everything was done at the first visit. Everything, EKG and hearing exam and vision exam was all done. And that when you met with the physician assistant or PA, that they had all of the results from
blood
that.
work is what takes the longest usually, and so that's what they.
Well, having the chest x-ray developed and read by a radiologist also is generally
They do
time
that.
consuming.
If they do the chest X-ray, that also is during the blood work.
See, that's what I would have thought. That way they could have the report
But
back.
everything else is, other than heavy metals, everything else is.
We'll review this again.
Okay, all right, and then we're using different terminology on D. And I guess I don't have tremendous heartburn. I think we just need to pick a consistent phraseology. In D and then in G, we talk about being cleared, right? The member is either cleared as a result of the annual physical, and then down below we talk about found unfit for duty. So fit for duty, unfit for duty versus cleared or not cleared. Whatever we're going to ask.
Right, so the unfit for duty, and this is the, maybe the gray area. So you can have someone cleared, but then you can have someone who has a restriction that, depending on what the restriction is, the city may want, the department may want, like, is this person fit for duty? Or is there some kind of rehab that this person needs to get to a level of fitness for duty? So that's what that was trying to handle, so that if there were restrictions, it would be an item that everyone could take a second look at for a determination of whether or not something else was needed.
So the way you're seeing it, you want to go with either they're cleared or they're unfit, opposed to cleared, uncleared, or fit, unfit?
Actually, 3.
Okay,
So you can have cleared,
sure.
good to go. Not cleared, obviously, huge red flag. You could have someone that is generally fine, but may have a restriction, but does that restriction impact their job, right? So you want to take another look at that. There may be some other rehab or other fitness for duty
Cleared, not
tests.
cleared, unfit
Well-
in the middle.
Technically, there are only fit for duty and unfit for duty. When you're fit for duty, and there's some restrictions, that's between you and the physician, generally. Those are minor things. Your cholesterol's high. So you're still fit for duty even though you have tremendously high cholesterol. Unfit for duty is you've got a torn ligament You know, some they've noticed all of a sudden, wait, your strength isn't. You guys go through physical testing also. You're supposed to do so many push-ups, hand grip strength, that kind of stuff. So a guy in doing grip strength realizes the doc says, man, you've got a torn ligament in your thumb. You can't grip this thing at all. Well, that's now could be construed as unfit for duty because he's got to use that hand. Then you have to go, but the city doesn't need to know that it's a tendon in the thumb. They just need to know that the guy's going through this restrictions thing.
So we had some issues with the last one, right? Where there were some red flags that overall were not like huge issues, but it needed a second look to make sure everything was okay.
Well, and what happens with LifeScan quite often is that they get false readings on the ultrasound. They see something that isn't there. They say that you got to follow up with a cardiologist, and you go to see the cardiologist, and the cardiologist says, "No, it wasn't read right. That's not correct. It's fine." So that because so much of what LifeScan does is done by ultrasound, that they kick out a fair amount of, as I hear it around the state, that they kick out a fair amount of either concern or not cleared because there's a question about your aorta size or a leaking valve or a cardiac problem or occasionally an abdominal issue that they think they have seen on the ultrasound. And so they make you go to a referral and get cleared by the cardiologist.
And they tell you, they do an EKG and tell you get out of their office.
Well,
Throw
be
the
fair
EKG
to
at
be
you.
fair to LifeScan, when they look at your liver and they see an angioma or a little bruise,
Yeah.
they can't determine whether it's something serious or something not unless you have a long history. So what they do is they refer you out to.
I'm just kind of exaggerating from the point of the patient. Obviously, anytime you're told like you need to go immediately and get this a second opinion, you get anxious. So.
Yeah. So when you get released from your physical, do they give a form, a fit for duty form? Is there a
So yes, so
a technical-
LifeScan has changed over the years. So they used to give a 3-part form like Stacy's talking about, that HRs used to have, which was exactly those 3 parts. Then they started giving this 2-part form, which is either fit or unfit, but then they write notes on it saying that they must be seen by the cardiologist. So as HR sees those are red lights to HR, like, oh, seen by the cardiologist, are they fit for duty? So then when you call LifeScan's like, well, that's just our recommendation. We
And they don't
can't tell you.
take any liability.
Right. That's the issue, I believe, correct?
Should we consult
It's
with
an HR.
LifeScan and mirror our language off the terminology that they use? I mean,
So you said they went to 2 parts.
It's a 2-part, yeah.
So clear.
But they still write
fit
notes
for
on it.
duty or unfit for duty.
Yes.
Which one are they writing the notes on? Unfit or fit?
It's the same form.
Same form.
Oh, it's the exact same form.
They just circle what you are or
Different
aren't.
box.
Yeah, you have
with
to,
restrictions or not.
like I said, Rebecca would be the best to be
On notes.
talking about on that, but that is the, and we've had past HR directors who have been, we're not worried about their notes, and we've had other HR directors who are like, we are worried about your notes, and what's the right answer? I don't really know. I don't know. Is it a true liability or not? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we need some more information from LifeScan and maybe restructure this thing a little bit.
Do you guys want me to get it or do you have a copy?
Keep those if you want to copy of it.
Look it up on the internet.
Actually,
We do a conference call
they
with
just,
them.
Pat and Chief DeBose were just redoing the new one. So
The
Pat
new
would have a copy of it, yeah. Not the form, the whole contract.
This way we can see what they do and don't do and put it in there.
Any other comments on that?
No,
I don't
got any. That's easy. I'll walk it. This is grievance and arbitration.
Thanks.
Case. Just do this. That's for you. Do this for him. Do this for you.
the arbitration. Most of this is just cleanup, but we wanted to have some discussion on,
Bless you.
so I think mostly the trying to get this clear that if you have you don't have anyone right now, but if you have someone who's not a member of the union, you want to file a grievance, and the process that we follow if that happens. Isn't there an extra notification? Okay, so what we're trying to prevent, I guess, is that someone not in a union files a grievance and doesn't notify you.
You guys have to notify me.
Right,
I don't
so-
have to tell them.
But that's, I guess, I understand that's the process, but it was a little unclear in here.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have, I can't stop them.
Well, and what's,
But we need to notify you when that happens.
yeah.
So,
And it's kind of comes back to just us being involved from the standpoint, very equal treatment.
you know what's happening
Yeah.
throughout the entire process. I get that. It's a matter of, I guess, where to put that in the grievance process.
It was already in here, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read the whole thing. It's fine, I mean, I understand, it's just, people have a misconception of like, a union member can file a grievance, and he never even has to tell me.
No, my concern is the non-union member.
And I have to treat him exactly the same, so he can file a grievance in the same manner, the same form, request assistance, any of those things, and I have to do the same thing, or I can't treat him any differently.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Section 2 says, "A grievance may be filed by either a member or by the union. However, if filed by a member, the city must inform the union president or designee of the grievance and its resolution within 5 working days of making it." So that covers it. And member, remember, we're talking about bargaining in member.
Section 2, last sentence.
Section 2.
Right, see, I have a note here, like, again, is that in the right spot? And maybe it is. Maybe it is.
I don't know. To be honest with you, if it's in the article, where do you want it? I don't know.
Because then it goes into steps.
Yeah, wherever you makes you feel comfortable.
I would say that as soon as it's filed.
Which section 2 covers it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then the other item is in step 2, part 2. You want me to hold for you? I'm holding for you?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
I was actually,
So step 2.
this is for this.
Part 2. So some clarification here. So it says the city manager within 20 days, right, may conduct a meeting. They don't have to. They could meet with Butch, they could meet with the chief to find out all of the ins and outs. So we're giving them 20 days to have a meeting or not have a meeting and provide a response. So the city manager shall notify the aggrieved party in writing 10 calendar days. Or, so the addition here is, or they're going to provide written notice within 30 calendar days, which is essentially the 20 calendar days that you're giving them to have a meeting and the 10 calendar days that you're getting to make a decision.
Yeah.
So if they decide not to have a meeting, they still have 30 days.
Yep. Yeah, that's fine.
And then the last question was section 5B. This is if the union declines a member's grievance to see the process through, right? Are we saying that the member, the employee, then at that point is doing so at their own expense?
Yes, and I was going to say, I mean, it's up to you, but I know plenty of agreements where the city covers itself in those situations where a non-union member wants to process and has the right to process the arbitration. They make them post a bond for their share of the court reporter and the arbitrator, so that at the end of the process, the arbitrator's bill doesn't come through. This is especially in a termination case where that person's no longer an employee of the city, long since gone, and the bill comes and they don't pay it. They refuse to pay there because maybe the arbitrator didn't side with it. He upholds the termination. So I know plenty of places where when it's a non-union member who is processing a grievance onto arbitration, they're required to post a bond, some kind of several $1,000 bond with the city to cover their share cost of the arbitration.
Well, section 9 kind of covers that. You know, the parties could be that non-union member.
Right.
You know.
Right. It does. Good luck collecting.
No, you're right. You're right.
So I'm saying before the process and to go to arbitration, you have them post a bond with the city. So the city has at least some of the money up front. Yeah, and that's up to the city to do. I think our proposal on this was status quo. We could live with it. Some other suggestions I would make, as long as we're going to get in and altering it, would be in, I got a couple in section 5C. 20 calendar days is kind of okay for a time limit in which to request arbitration. But where I'm renegotiating contracts, we are recommending that process be extended, and here's why. A member is gone through the grievance procedure, and sometimes during the grievance procedure, all of what the city relied on or considered in making the decision, let's say to terminate the employee, was shared with the union. But in many instances, it was not. The union didn't see everything the city has. So we get to the end of the process, and now we've got a member who says, I want to go to arbitration. And the union's trying to make a determination about whether, based on the merits, whether the city had just cause or didn't have just cause. And to know that, what we generally do as soon as that decision's final is send a public records request to the city and ask for all things relied on or considered in making the decision to terminate employee X. Well, that takes some time to produce, and then when it gets sent, when it's finally gathered and sent to the union then, if they're our clients, we say send that to us, and we help them go through it and evaluate for them the likelihood of success at arbitration, so that they can make a informed decision about whether they decide to process this to arbitration. But if in situations like this where the 20 days comes up, we tell them, listen, don't let that 20, go ahead and file for arbitration while we're waiting on these documents. That's kind of an unnecessary step, whereas if we stretch this to 60 days or 90 days, then the union has time to gather all and really get a look at everything the city relied on or considered, have it evaluated, and make an informed decision as to whether to go to arbitration and start that process or not. So that's one thought. The second thought is that...
Well, if you go that route, then you're going to have to change section 6, that first sentence, because it's saying within 10 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, if you give...
It says from receipt of request to arbitrate.
The request to arbitrate. I'm saying
Yeah.
postpone that request to arbitrate, stretch it out 60 or 90 days before that's required, after the final step.
So you want to change section 6? I thought you wanted to
No,
change
section
5C.
5C.
Okay,
to
5C.
Right.
So you're saying you have...
Says the request for arbitration must be submitted in writing to the fire chief within 20 calendar days. We made that 60 or 90.
Right, but then 6 says within 10 calendar days from receipt of request to arbitrate.
Yeah, the parties shall confer in an attempt to mutually select an arbitrator.
So you're going to take your 60 days.
If we-
Maybe.
Maybe.
Might be
60.
45, might be,
Right. But whenever it is, from the date we finally send
Okay.
the request to arbitrate, within 10 days of that, there's a meeting.
okay.
Okay. So my first comment in 6 is, I don't believe I've ever heard of a situation in which a union and a city were able to mutually agree on an arbitrator. It's nice, warm and fuzzy language. It makes everybody feel good, but I've never known an instance where it happened. That's item 1. City requests FMCS, well, that's good. Upon receipt of the panel, the parties shall meet to select an arbitrator from panel selected. So, again, once the panels come in, I know the city takes their due diligence time to research the arbitrators, as does the union. And then it says the coin toss shall determine who strikes first. Well, you know, this is 2022, and the coin toss thing seems kind of arbitrary and silly. So what I suggest is that into the 2 types of cases that would be forwarded to arbitration, the burden is different in each type. So in contract interpretation cases, the union carries the burden at arbitration. It's the union's burden to prove a violation of the contract. So in disciplinary cases, it's the city's burden to prove that just cause existed for the termination. My thought is, as a matter of fairness, the person because whoever strikes first is somewhat disadvantaged in the selection process when you're dealing with an odd number, 7. So my theory is that whoever carries the burden, in this case, the city in disciplinary cases and the union in contract interpretation cases, be required to strike first. No, I mean, this isn't hills to die for. I'm just making suggestions that make the process make more sense than a coin toss.
We're traditionalists.
I was going to go with paper, rock, scissors.
Yeah,
Right,
I like that.
right.
Can we do that? Can we paper, rock,
Best of
scissors?
3 or
grenade?
Well, and now, during COVID, it was really silly because during COVID, you're trying to get something to arbitration and it requires a coin toss and somebody's in.
Nobody wants to
Right,
do
and
that.
you're on video trying to. It's
I
just,
swear, it fell on
it's
the
just
floor,
silly.
its head. I mean, I'd be open to seeing language to
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just saying, I'm laughing too, the coin toss shall determine, so I won.
Not the first
but
time
I'm
I've ever seen
deferring.
that.
Right,
There you
I'm
go.
deferring to give you first strike.
all right.
I'm going to defer to the second half.
Yep.
Patriots. They always defer.
Can you send me this in, this version in electronic format?
Yeah.
Send it to us, okay. And in section 8, the arbitrator shall render a decision within 21 days. We were going to leave it in here. I will tell you that,
Doesn't happen.
yeah, good luck with that. Because if you've got a good arbitrator, that means they're good and they're busy. And if they're busy, you're not getting your decision in 21 days.
Which we've run into, so.
And I don't know what you do then. It says 21 days, and so what? You're going to fire them and start over?
Right.
Right, so it's kind of silly. I usually just substitute and say within a
Yeah,
reasonable
within a
time. Or what you can do to say is if it's not delivered within X number of days, 60 days or 90 days, the arbitrator is required to provide a written explanation. So that, because the other thing that comes up is, you roll around and it's been 4 months now or 5 months, and neither side wants to be the side that reaches out and pokes the arbitrator to say, when are we getting our decision? So if there's language, then the parties can mutually send a communication saying, hey, it's been past this date. The contract language requires that we get a written estimate on when you're going to provide the recommendation.
This section, wouldn't you include as just part of doing business? Sound like I'm coming off the beach.
You know, when you're processing grievances now and there's meetings, Chief, if the representative's on duty, are they allowed to do that on duty? Is that permitted now, or you make them wait until they're off duty to do that?
No, we try to get, if we can, we try to get them off, yeah.
Okay.
Needs to come out. It's been in there for a long time. It's missing. So do you guys want to, there's a bunch of stuff in here that,
He's
It's
gonna
just
come
that-
back
I mean,
with-
just clerical stuff,
he's
but,
gonna come back with some new language.
okay, because the other thing is, there's a bunch that you made it, you crossed out employee and put member, but then as we move through it, towards the end, it says member employee, that we added, a member slash employee.
That's where it gets a little confusing on
So do you
the,
guys want to?
they non-union, are they union?
Well,
Is
that's
the
why we
process
made
the
member
same? Does it not?
anybody in the bargaining unit, so
Right.
that a member encompasses now, if, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong.
It
because
does.
we made a change.
Or you could say union. It's either the union or a bargaining unit member, right?
So, if you say union.
We
it may
decided
not be-
member was all inclusive.
Right.
Right,
So do we want to?
we did.
And I'm not
That's
picking
fine.
on anybody, I
We'll
don't,
just move it to
That's
member.
fine.
whatever we
moving
want to
forward.
do, we can do. I'm just trying to stick with what you guys want to do.
Yeah, remember.
That'll work for me. The other thing is, it says here, the fire chief shall notify in writing the aggrieved, it used to say aggrieved party. It says member or the union. To be honest with you,
Should be both.
it should go to the member who, if they have union representation, would get the info, because to be honest with you, if they're not a union member and they don't want to deal with me,
I thought we had to notify you
you do,
regardless.
but here it says, is this fire chief shall notify in writing the aggrieved party. This is about the,
Well, yeah, but that union would be in a class grievance. If the union had filed a class grievance affecting
do we
15
want,
people.
do we
This-
want a member or union, or does it
Yeah,
both?
no member or union, right? Because the grievance is being processed either by a member, right, in someone's name with the union's assistant, or the union is processing, the union has filed a grievance on behalf of
Right.
a group of people, a class of employees. So
I just was worried about it being a member, and then I get notification, he doesn't. That doesn't really, I
Yeah,
don't.
just come back with the changes.
No, my question is, should it be and instead of
I don't
or?
know. I'm gonna-
That's my question, because shouldn't the union also know?
That's why.
Because then you kind of know what the decision is.
that's
Right.
fine, yeah.
That's what I was trying to get at. If you put or and we make a mistake, if it's and or it's just the member, it makes it easier.
Yeah.
Kind of, sorry, fine. I didn't vernacularize that for everybody. Thank you.
Eight.
Yeah,
Like mine, there's kind of,
Did
there's
John show
something
you
missing
the other
there.
thing, Jim?
After you did your slice out.
City.
Looking at 8B.
Do we want to?
Oh, you try.
See what I'm saying?
oh, I think the have is
Everybody has
supposed to
that.
say.
Oh, okay.
Have a basis for.
It's just both of our
Okay.
computers.
I didn't know.
Did
what-
you see?
Yeah, that should
and
be-
He pointed out. So this have should actually stay.
And the funny part is we haven't had a lot of issues in the last,
No decision.
for a long time with grievances or arbitration, right?
Well, we have.
When
the
Oh,
we
time.
had,
they're saying
like-
if it's resolved.
Time
it's
thing.
processed.
Right, I already did. I did that right here.
He
Yeah,
wanted
this,
it.
look
Email-
at
email him.
section,
He's
look
gonna-
at section
That's
8B.
not our
There's a
fault.
word missing. or
But we
something.
just did that.
We just
The-
did it.
Okay.
The have
It's
that
B,
was
it's right
stricken
there. We
should
just
be
put it
there,
on.
and
All
then
right,
it makes
okay.
sense.
All right, okay, all right.
Shall have a basis for.
Decision.
Well, because, yeah, or instead of the word employer city.
Yeah, That too,
they may
sorry.
change that.
And obviously, we'll go through here and
Yeah.
just do
Okay.
a search for anything
I
that
was-
says
I was just
employer,
having a
change it
hard
to,
time.
I was like, wait.
Because I did this right here, it get less confusing.
Yep, yep.
So we'll wait and the union will come back.
Yeah, yeah, I just made myself a note here.
Which I don't really see much, I don't think there's anything but cleanup on that.
only one person has left the room, that doesn't constitute a break. I guess.
So we can move to 30.
I'll get them. I've got it.
It's been getting confusing on the pass downs, so.
That's why I started.
We drag hose, not paper.
Which one is this one?
We're-
30.
Protective uniform and protective clothing and equipment.
Go to 30. Okay.
This was just some cleanup from the chief and deputy chief on, I think the biggest thing was the SCBA inserts in section 1. Section 2, I recall the thought process in removing that was it's actually redundant.
Well, it looks like you moved it up above to 1. You said added protective clothing and equipment up above.
Maybe that's what it was. We
Yeah.
clarified the first section, which made the second section unnecessary.
Why are we striking recommended by the Health and Safety Committee in section 4?
I didn't know about that. You know why they struck Health and Safety Committee? Say that again?
You know why they struck Health and Safety Committee or Article 30 uniforms?
Oh, I think the chief wanted to bring that up for discussion because it seems like it only means that only the Health and Safety Committee can give the chief recommendations. So he wants to be able to take recommendations from whomever, not just the Health and Safety Committee.
All right, so just end to or.
That wouldn't fix it.
What?
That would
Recommended by
allow
the Health
just
and
the
Safety
committee.
Or,
Approved by the fire chief?
no, that changes the whole context. That says and approve, meaning that Health and Safety would give them a recommendation and then the chief would have to approve it, is what it says now.
Yeah, but
If you put or in there, it would say that
The committee can do
either the
it.
committee makes the change or the chief.
Oh, I see.
He's not trying to cut the health and safety out.
Well, but
He's trying to make sure that there's room for just a member. Anybody can make a recommendation. Assistant city manager can make. I can make whoever makes a recommendation to the chief, and then he takes that upon himself and decides whether or not he wants to make that change or not.
So is the issue that we want it to be a recommendation from the committee and approved by the chief, or the chief individually? Without the health and safety?
That's kind of what I was,
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just a So
yeah, well, if we left it as is, it says that recommended by the Health and Safety Committee and approved by the fire chief.
So the chief doesn't necessarily want to have to go to the health and safety committee if
make
there's
a change.
something that,
So take recommended out, put with input by the Health and Safety Committee and approved by the.
Yeah, but in some instances, he may not even be getting their input.
right, correct.
It's protective gear.
Is it because they're not expeditious enough, or they
Well, how-
turning
how's it-
It
things?
has nothing to do with the health and safety committee. That's
He
what I'm
just
trying
wants
to tell you. It
everyone
has
be
to do
able
with.
to recommend something.
He wants, if Connor decides he wants to recommend something, he shows the chief something really cool, but hasn't gone through the health and safety committee, and the chief goes, okay, that doesn't need to go through the health and safety, he wants to be able to implement that, but by contract, it basically holds him to the fact that it's gotta go through the health and safety.
How often is the Health and Safety Committee meeting?
Once a
Quarterly.
quarter.
Yeah.
Or more if
So,
something's going
so
on.
couldn't those recommendations that flow from, go just run through the Health and Safety Committee, be put on the agenda for the next meeting for consideration and review? Isn't that purpose for them to kind of review these things and vet them and put another set of eyes and opinions on them and expertise?
'Cause
Yeah,
the state of Florida requires every department to have the committee, right?
It recommends. I'm not sure. It requires the Health and Safety Committee of the city.
Inspection.
Well, you could change your recommended to reviewed by the Health and Safety Committee.
I don't think the chief's stuck on this. I think his point is he should be able to
Well, but,
change something without any recommendations. from
but at
Health
the
and
same
Safety if he doesn't
time,
want it.
if one person comes in very amped up about something they just saw in fire engineering, and the chief runs and does it, and then a quarter later, the issue comes up, and maybe based on some input he got from the Health and Safety Committee, he thinks, maybe I didn't think about that, or maybe it's not compatible. Well, that's the whole. I think it's the whole purpose of having this stuff put through the
Yep,
Health
which
and
we
Safety
normally do.
I think
I don't,
reviewed,
reviewed by the Health and
Take
Safety Committee and
recommended out.
approved by
I don't
the
think
fire
it's a
chief.
big holdup. I honestly don't.
so Bush would review, take recommended out and review, I think would accomplish what the chief wants and allow the Health and Safety Committee, because I have to agree with Jim, and I think everybody in here knows that somebody's amped up, they go in,
Yep,
they
no, I
pitch
think
to
you'd
the
be good with
chief,
that.
the chief buys it, 10 months later, there's,
There's issues.
I think he would be good with that. But his point was not trying to cut anybody out.
So you want to change it to reviewed? Change it to reviewed.
Yeah. And I don't, beyond that, I don't see any other issues with this. Do you guys?
I don't.
That's all I have for today.
No, I didn't have any question on it. I couldn't, because I don't know how you
I
guys
was
do
just
it
impressed
now.
by the
So like,
opening door with the laser in there.
what if Connor came
Oh,
in
yeah.
with an idea right now, and off topic? He
And you
said,
said
hey,
you
I
did
have this
supplemental-
idea.
No.
So-
Oh,
I'm going to wait for that one.
Let's go to the metal shields. So we didn't we discuss metal shields? Their recommendation was, we don't really
Yeah,
like them, and the
it
chief
doesn't
said,
matter.
well, I like them. No, I'm asking you, how do we do it? I don't know.
The metal shield event was interesting because guys were getting confused in the meeting whether they like them or not, and I had to remind them, I don't care if you like them. Our purpose is health and safety.
My example would be,
So, is it-
let's say a special ops guy says, hey, we need this. Does that really, and the special ops team says, yes, that's what we need. Does that really have to go through the health and safety?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we.
Well, I guess, Chief, the way I see it is, I think slowing the process down, particularly talking about something that deals with health and safety or protective equipment, long enough to get some additional opinions. And at the end of the day, everybody may see it the same way as the
Like I
first.
said, we normally do it anyways, so I don't think he's that worried about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole process.
We can make a second thing, because that's where I got confused, and I'm not trying to, if he likes it, I like it. I've always tried to agree with him, but it says purchase of PPE or advanced protective gear, so it's very limited to the scope of the Health and Safety Committee. So if he wanted something other than that, would he really even need to go to them?
If it didn't have anything to do with that, no.
PPE or?
No, but that stuff then would go to the Health and Safety Committee, be reviewed, and then it's up to the
No,
chief
I'm
whether he
good
wants to
with it. I
approve.
think he's good with it. I think he's good.
I'm gonna try to work with you.
You don't have to, I think it's done. It's a done deal.
We're gonna just say,
I think he changed it. to
Yeah, we already
review.
changed it to reviewed.
oh, okay.
We're good.
Does that work?
Yeah, we're done with that one.
See, it's up there, reviewed by the Health and Safety Committee.
I'm sorry, guys, I didn't see it. I didn't write the
Is that still on?
review
Yes.
sign.
There's a missing
Did
link.
we already do this?
What is it?
We're going to wait till next time.
I
done?
thought John said.
You don't want a TA pay?
It wouldn't work.
You don't want to do wages?
What's that?
You don't want to do wages? Get that off the table?
Next time.
Oh. Thought we could do it now and be done with it.
Just in case anybody wants to.
I don't think you'd like the response.
Oh, okay. I probably wouldn't.
So we're adjourned?
Yes. 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 Yes.